This painting was inspired by the Korean mythology, the three brothers who became shamans to save their mother. It begins with Chon Hamunjong and Chi Hamunjong visiting a monk at Mount Hwangam. The couple desperately wanted a child. The monk read the couple's fortune from the I Ching and told them they could never have children unless they gave 100 days of offering to the temple. After 100 days of offerings, the couple had an auspicious dream that predicted the birth of a girl, and Chi Hamunjong gave birth to a baby girl they named Noga Danpun Ja Jimyang. When their daughter turned 15, the couple was summoned by the King of Heaven to lead an official life in heaven. The couple decided to confine their daughter in her room within a house with 78 rooms, and each room had 2 doors. The maid provided food and clothing through a window to the daughter. The couple locked all the doors, and the father imprinted all the locks with his fingerprint. The couple then left for their official life. One day, a monk named Saint Chuja came and told the maid that the girl would die unless she gave an offering to Buddha. The maid tried to give him an offering, but he refused, as the offering had to be given by the daughter. The maid refused as all the doors were locked. So the monk waved his handbell 3 times, and the ground shook violently, and all the doors swung open. Noga Danpun Jajimyang covered her face with a scarf and gave Saint Chuja an offering. As she poured the offering into his knapsack, the saint rubbed her forehead 3 times on the right and then 3 times on the left. She scolded him, and he told her in 100 days she'll come looking for him. He gave her a cut part of his headgear and robe and told her to find him at Mount Hwangam. He then quickly left. In 3 months, the daughter got pale, lost her appetite, and her stomach bulged. The maid sent a letter to the parents, who resigned and hurried home. The mother quickly realized the daughter was pregnant. The father was going to kill his daughter, but decided to spare her after the maid begged. Instead, they banished them both. The parents gave them a black cow and a fan for opening roadblocks and sent them away. The daughter and the maid left and came upon a bridge made of sharp blades pointing upward. The maid explained that her parents turned the bridge into sharp blades when they were going to execute them. Then they came across the sorrowful heart bridge that was made as such when they decided to expel them. Then they came across the betrayed heart bridge that was created when she betrayed her parents. Next, they came across the righteous heart bridge that her parents changed when they acted with a righteous heart and gave them the cow and the fan. They came upon an upflowing stream that changed direction because she acted against the law of nature. Offsprings are meant to depart before their parents. They decided to climb to the high peak of the hill where the maid braided her hair kanji style. When they descended Kanji Hill, they passed Chosim Bridge to the Blue Sea. She laid the fan down and made a bridge over the Blue Sea. Once over the bridge, they realized they were stuck in between the Black Sea and the Blue Sea, so they cried and eventually fell asleep. She was awoken to a white dog that splashed water on her face with its tail. She had met the dog before and treated it kindly. Upon the dog's death, she laid it to rest by the West Sea, where it went on to become a turtle messenger of the Dragon King's palace. The puppy then took them across the Black Sea easily. When they arrived at the temple, her maid pointed out a monk's cut headgear and robe hanging in front of the temple. She ran inside where Saint Chuja told her she must peel 2 jars of sweet rice grains with her fingernails and offer it to the Buddha. She cried while peeling the sweet rice grain until she fell asleep. She awoke up to the chowang birds, and when she shooed them away, she realized they peeled all the grain for her. Saint Chuja then laid out a winding road so she could live in Puldol land separately. There she birthed her first son, Chogangi, from her shin on the 8th of September. Then she delivered her second son, Aigangi, from her left armpit on the 18th of September. Then she delivered her third son, Shamgongi, from her breast. Due to poverty, the boys didn't go to school until they were 8 years old, when they went to Samchon Village School, where 3,000 scholars study. For payment, the first son delivered ink stone water. The second son emptied ashtrays and cleaned the teacher's room, and the third son heated the teacher's room. They studied the 1,000-character text by flattening ashes, resulting in the nickname Three Chetbugi Brothers. When the boys were 15 years old, the scholars were going to Seoul for the civil service exam, but they envied the brothers' talents and decided to trap them. They offered the boys 3,000 yang for 3,000 pears from Bei Chua-su's house. They helped the brothers up the tree and then abandoned them in the tree and fled to Seoul. Bei Chua-su dreamt of a blue, black, and white dragon were caught in his tree, and when he awoke, he found the brothers. He fed the boys and gave them 10 yang each and sent them off to Seoul. Once at Seoul, they tried to buy paper, pen, and an inkstone, but the scholars purchased them all. The scholars also bribed the gatekeepers to keep the gates locked so the brothers couldn't get in to take the exam. Grandma Baekju gave them papers, pen, and inkstones. The brothers tied their answer sheet to stones and threw them over and in front of the exam director. The head messenger ran out and hurried them inside. Cho Kang-gi won first place all around. Ai Gong-gi won first place in literature. Sam Gong-gi won district first place. The director congratulated them and gave them silk hats, official uniforms, a blue plaque, a red plaque, a horse granted by the king. The 3,000 scholars failed and conspired to expose the brothers as the children of a monk, which is a lowly class. When the brothers were served tome tables and refused to drink nor eat meat, the director revoked their test results. The director then conducted an archery test and said that if they hit the Yongchu gate with an arrow, that they would pass the civil service exam. All 3,000 scholars missed. Cho Gong-gi's arrow hit the gate so hard it shook violently. Ai Gong-gi's arrow hit the gate so hard it opened. Sam Gong-gi's arrow hit so hard the gate fell down. The director then gave Cho Gong-gi a blue sunshade, Ai Gong-gi a black sunshade, and Sam Gong-gi a white sunshade. They were gifted decorative flowers, official clerks, servants, dancers, and acrobatic tumblers. The 3,000 scholars snuck back ahead of the brothers and bribed their mother's maid. They kidnapped their mother, tied her neck with a silk string, and hid her in a palace. The maid dressed in grieving attire and began to moan. She told the brothers their mother died and was temporarily buried. The brothers sent everything back and put on their grieving attire and headed to their mother's gravesite, only to find an empty grave and realize they had been tricked. They went to their grandfather, and he spread a shinjari mat on which to sit. He told them to visit their father, Saint Chuja. They met their father, who told them to abandon their secular lives, and they agreed. He asked what they saw, and they said first they saw heaven, then they saw earth, and finally they saw the gate in the alley. Saint Chuja inscribed Chonjimun on a round piece of brass and made a shaman tool. He asked his first son what he liked most about the civil service exam. Cho Gong-gi responded the tome table, so Saint Chuja said he shall receive the Chogamje, table spread with ritual food. The second son responded with the 1-horse palanquin, the 2-horse palanquin, the official clerks, and the servants. With that, Ai Gong-gi shall receive the Chosimnaji table, spread with ritual food. The youngest son responded with the blue military uniforms made of silk, hat strings decorated with amber, and the official uniform. With that, Sam Gong-gi shall receive the Si Wang Maji table spread with ritual food. Their father taught them ritual practices and tasked them to be shamans. Saint Chuja told them to save their mother from the Samchon Jasok palace. They must continuously beat on an hourglass-shaped drum made of natural dyed horse skins. To make the drum, they went to get help from No Same No Torong in Puldo land. The 3 brothers became godbrothers with No Torong by ceremonially going through the left leg and then the right leg of No Torong's mother's underwear, symbolically bonding them as if they were born from the same womb. All 4 of them cut down an empress tree, made the hourglass-shaped drum with horse skins, and went to the palace to save their mother. The brothers called to their mother and beat the drum for 14 days and 14 nights. The officials went to investigate the noise and then released their mother. The brothers then built a mansion and devoted themselves to her. They selected notarang to keep musical instruments used by shamans. The brothers then invited a blacksmith from the East Sea and asked him to make a handbell with a white sand molding, tools for fortune-telling, and a 75-foot-long sword that would be sufficient for killing low-class enemies. With this 75-foot-long sword, they swept off the heads of all the 3,000 scholars that wronged them. Then the three brothers went to the underworld and became the three kings.